is Allie with iMore and Pixel Fix, and today we're going to look at how to replace the vibrator assembly in a CDMA iPhone 4, so Verizon or Sprint. If you've got a GSM AT&T iPhone 4, we've already covered this, so you can refer back to that guide. The phone models are different, so this is only going to apply to CDMA iPhone 4s. So the first thing we're going to do is you're always going to want to power down your device before you open it up or do any kind of repair. You're going to need a security screwdriver to remove your 2 dot connector screws. You're going to need a 00 screwdriver, a flat blade screwdriver, which is pretty much a flathead, some type of spudger tool, a plastic spudger or a stick like this will work. I have this too, metal spatula. You don't necessarily need it. I just find it easier sometimes to pull certain things up with these. So we're going to start by removing our 2 dot connector screws. And as always, try to keep your screws organized when you're doing this. It's never fun if you can't figure out where screws are coming from and where they go back when you're ready for reassembly. Okay, so once we've got those pulled out, the way you are going to remove the back is just slide up and the back will pop right off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our 00 screwdriver and we're going to remove the one screw that holds in the battery. Set that aside. Now use your spudger tool to pop up the clip that holds the battery in, just like that. And now the way I pull up the battery, I do not use this pull tab. I use, over here there's really no components you can damage, so I typically pry it up here. That plastic pull tab tends to tear or it can actually bend the battery, so I don't particularly care for using that. Okay, now fold that tab over so it's out of your way. We're going to remove the 2 00 screws that are holding the dot connector cable in. And now we can lift off this shield. Set it aside. Now we're going to move up here and remove the shield that's covering the top portion of the logic board. So there's 5 screws holding this in. And keep these in order as they are different. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now what we're going to do to remove this shield is take your pry tool. It's kind of hard to see. There's a little clip right here that holds this in place. So I will typically just pop out that clip and then that shield will come right off. Now we're going to come up here with our screwdriver again, and we've got one more screw we need to remove that holds a separate shield down. And set that screw aside. And then we're just going to pop up this clip. All it is a little shield clip that sits in there. And we'll set that aside. And now what we're going to do is we've got a couple flat blade screws we need to remove. There's one up here, one right here, and one down here by the battery. So, and again, make sure you remember which screw is which. The heads are a little bit different. Okay, so now we're going to start popping up some cables with our pry tool. We can start up here, pop up our camera, and that will slide right out. And then there's 1, 2, 3 cables up here. This one pops the opposite way. And then we're going to have one here, and one here. So those cables are all popped up. Now we're going to come down here and pop up the dot connector cable. And there is adhesive underneath here that holds it down right here, so just be careful that you don't tear that. Now take your 00 screwdriver and we're going to remove this grounding clip on the cellular antenna. It's very tiny, so make sure you don't lose it. Okay, and that's the grounding clip right there. So just don't lose that, you need it for reassembly. And then we're going to grab our spudger tool one more time, or our pry tool, and we're going to pry the cellular antenna off the main board. And it's wrapped around these little spokes, and you can just gently unwrap it. And once you remove your cellular antenna, you also have one more screw right here that I've already removed. It's just a 00. So in total, holding the logic board, you'll need to make sure you get the 1, 2, 3 that are flat blade screws holding it down, and then you've got the 2 00 screws that hold it down towards the left hand side of the logic board. So you have 5 screws total holding it down, so make sure you remove all of those before trying to remove the logic board. Okay, so now that we've got the Wi-Fi antenna pulled off, or not pulled off, but pushed aside, you got one more screw up here that you need to remove with your 00 screwdriver. And on your phone this is probably going to be covered with black tape, so you'll need to peel that tape back. And there's a little gold clip that's underneath here that you'll need for reassembly. This is a phone that I just used for testing, so that clip is actually missing. But there is a gold clip that you'll need for reassembly. And once you're done with that, you can use, the way I pull out the logic board is to put my finger underneath here and at the bottom and gently lift it up and out. So we've got that. And you might notice there's a little rubber piece, like so, that sits right at the top of your logic board. There's no adhesive or anything holding it on there. It just sits just like that, so make sure before you reassemble that you stick that back on there. That will ground your Wi-Fi. So now that we've got that taken care of, now we can see the vibrator assembly. This is only held down with adhesive. You don't technically have to remove this speaker assembly. I recommend it just so then you don't, when you're pulling this up, you don't damage this or hit it with a pry tool or something. So to remove this, and this is up to you, there's only 2 screws holding your speaker housing assembly in, and they're on the left and the right. The left screw will have a little black spacer underneath it, so just make sure you put that back in there for reassembly, and this will pop out just like that. So now we have a clear view of the vibrator assembly right here. So you can use your pry tool, or I use a plastic spatula for this. It's a little thinner than a spudger tool. I find that it works a little bit better, but a spudger tool will work just as well. All you're going to do is stick the corner of your pry tool underneath there and gently pry this up. And that's your vibrator assembly. As you can see, it's only held down with adhesive, so there's really nothing to unscrew. When you put your new one in, the only thing you're going to want to make sure of is that you line up the screw hole right here, and the little contacts over here should be lined up with this metal line. So just to make sure that it's centered straight, you just want to push your new one in there and make sure that it's straight. And then you can push it down and the adhesive will stick on there. For reassembly, you can either follow the instructions in reverse, or you can watch our reassembly video at the end of this article. Thanks, guys.